What's going on, my guys? Lost and Found Dating Channel back at it again, like we never left. We're here chatting about what we always do, what we talk about each and every week. You don't come to this channel to talk about sports. You don't come here to talk about reality TV. No, we get into the important stuff. We talk about dating, we talk about life, and we talk about your dating life. Those three things in that order. If this is your first time checking out the channel, welcome to the Lost and Found Dating family. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be the first to know when we come out with new content each and every week. Along with this YouTube channel, you can also find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter as well. Show some love, support our different pages, support our different platforms as we continue to support you. So without further ado, let's dive in to this week's topic. Super excited about this one. All right, so we got a deep topic for this video, and I will also add most of the videos we've been doing are for the fellas, primarily helping the fellas build their dating life. This is going to be one of those videos where it's not going to be tailored towards a specific gender. I think that this is a video that's going to be able to help a lot of men and a lot of women who are navigating their dating lives. Even those who are in a relationship, or maybe you are dating someone, maybe there's someone you are pursuing, it kind of applies to all facets of your dating life. So for this video, we're going to be talking about questions that keep you in unhealthy relationships, questions that keep you in unhealthy dating patterns and dating cycles. So that's what we're going to talk about for this video. Now, my rationale for wanting to do this video and for wanting to talk about this topic was I was starting to realize as people were asking me questions, as people were asking me for advice or for my perspective when it came to their dating life or when it came to their relationship, I was noticing that there were certain consistent questions that were sort of philosophical, big picture questions, but they were these kinds of questions that I could tell were kind of keeping people in what I would describe as, based on their rendition of it, keeping people in unhealthy relationships, keeping people in unhealthy dynamics. And what I mean when I say unhealthy relationships, just relationships that did not benefit them, relationships that did not serve them, and relationships that did not contribute to their happiness. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the questions that I hear people ask that sometimes tip me off to the fact that they may not be in the most healthiest, most ideal dating situation. So I want you to, we're going to do a hypothetical situation here, just an exercise. Play along with me for a second. So I want you to imagine that you are dating someone or you're in a relationship with someone. Let's say you're dating someone, and let's say this person is, I'm going to describe a bunch of different things. Let's say this person is physically abusive. Let's say they steal your money from time to time. Let's say they take it upon themselves to humiliate you and embarrass you when you're out in public, when you're out with your friends, right? Let's say this person shames and guilts you and pressures you into doing things that you don't really want to do. Let's say this person neglects you, right? When you're seeking comfort, when you're seeking affection, let's say this person neglects you, they ignore you, right? So let's say they're doing all these things, right? And I know in describing them, they just seem such a wonderful, peachy person, right? Just the kind of person you want to love, right? So let's say that those are their behaviors. But let's say periodically once a week, once every couple of weeks. They're on their A game. They're on their P's and Q's. They make you feel good. They make you feel loved. They make you feel cared for. They make you feel special, right? So let's pretend that is the situation that you are currently in. So let's say you begin to share your experience with me. Let's say you're describing that situation to me, and obviously I gave you a very extreme example, right? I described, one of the worst possible partners you could potentially be with. But let's say you're describing the situation to me, you're describing how they treat you, how they behave towards you. And then at the end, after you describe everything and you're giving me examples of their behavior, at the end of it, you look at me and you go, but they still care about me, right? They still like me, right? Come on, obviously they haven't ended the relationship. Obviously they're still dealing with me. Obviously they still love and they care about me, right? When I hear someone describe a situation where they're very unhappy or they don't feel like they're being treated well, and they kind of seal the envelope and kind of end things or end the description with this question of, but they still care about me, right? They still see something in me. Whenever I hear someone do that kind of thing, what it tells me is they are kind of approaching things with this big picture view of, yes, I'm unhappy. Yes, I don't feel like I'm being treated well. Yes, I don't feel like I'm in a fair relationship, or it could be a fair friendship or a fair family relationship. Yes, all those things are happening, but they are kind of encapsulating their mistreatment in this sort of big picture view of, but this person still loves me, right? But this person still cares about me. And that's very problematic when you engage in that kind of justification and that kind of rationalization of that person's behavior. Now, let me describe to you what in my eyes would be kind of a healthy super philosophy or a healthy big picture view to take, right? Those of you who train hard at the gym, those of you who have fitness goals that you're working towards, right? Those of you who train intensely, you know what that involves, right? You're in the gym, you're in pain, your body is sore, right? You're sweating. It doesn't always feel good as you're doing it, right? You may be out of breath, you're sweating a lot, right? You're uncomfortable, you're pushed to your physical limits. When you're training, you may continue to be sore for the next couple of days or the next couple of weeks, right? But the reason why you do it is you have this big picture sort of super philosophy that guides your actions, that guides your behavior. And that is the reason why I'm doing these things is because, the big picture view is that it's going to help me be happier, going to help me be healthier. It's going to help me achieve a better and stronger version of myself, right? That's what I would call a healthy sort of super philosophy to have when it comes to working out and when it comes to your relationship with exercise and fitness. But sometimes we can take that same sort of approach and we apply it to something negative, for example, with unhealthy relationships, right? We're suffering, we feel like we are being taken advantage of, we feel like we're not being treated the way we want to be treated, but we kind of seal it and justify and rationalize that behavior or our tolerance of that behavior with this idea that, that's what relationships are meant to be, right? Relationships are meant to be, me sacrificing for someone else, right? We think that's the price of a relationship. That's the price of not being single. It means me sacrificing, right? Me sacrificing my happiness for someone else, right? Forget about what I want. Forget about what's important to me. Forget about my needs and my values and the things that I want for myself. A relationship, being with someone means that I'm sacrificing those things in order for them to be happy, right? In order for my partner to feel fulfilled. So when I hear people ask, do you think they still care about me? Do you think, they still like me? Do you think they still want me? Do you think they still love me? What I hear sometimes is that you are, as a person, you're emotionally invested in the idea of that person doing those things to kind of justify the pain and the negative experience that you're enduring at that moment. So let's take those kinds of questions and let's be philosophical and let's dissect them together, right? So you're asking, do they care about me? Do you think they like me? Do you think they love me? Well, let's dissect those questions, right? What does it mean to care about someone, right? What does it mean to love someone? Those questions are kind of subjective in a sense, right? I could ask 10 different people, hey, what does it mean to love someone? What does it mean to care about someone? What does it mean to like someone? And each person would have a different opinion. Each person would have a different answer, right? So my point and where I'm going with that is those, things like love or caring about someone or wanting to be with someone, those are concepts that really, they only mean as much as we sort of derive meaning from them, right? They only mean what kind of meaning and what kind of definition we give to those things. So you take a question like, do they care about me? Do they still care about me? Rather than me giving you a yes or no answer, rather than me saying yes they do or no they don't, let me push back and give you a little resistance, right? Let me sort of give you a hard time, right? Let's be scientific and think about, okay, how can we improve that question, right? Maybe there's a better question that we can get at, right? Do they love me or do they care about me? That's a binary question, right? It's a yes or no. How can we improve that kind of question to get at the answer that we really want to get at, right? So let me give you a hard time and push back on that question. Let's be good scientists. Let's see if we can improve that question. Let's see if we can learn to ask ourselves better questions, right? And the quality of life that you live is limited by the quality of questions that you ask. Always remember that. Let me repeat that again. The quality of life that you live is limited by the quality of questions that you ask, right? So if you imagine, do they care about me, right? That's a baseline. Let's say that's a level 1 question, right? And as we already established, that's a binary question, right? Yes or no. It's very subjective. I could say yes, you could say no, I could say no, you could say yes, right? That kind of question doesn't really help us gain traction or get at the answer that you actually want to get to. Additionally, if you take a question like, do they still care about me? Do they still want to be with me? Do they still love me? What do you notice about that question, right? Who is the subject and who is the target, right? You're asking, do they still love me, or do they love me? Do they care about me, right? What is the directionality of that question, right? It's them doing something or behaving towards you, right? They are the subject, you're just kind of the target, right? Another way that we could say that is you are just the object of their love, of their care, of their support, right? Of whatever they're giving, right? So when you're asking a question like, do they love me? Do they care about me? Do they want to be with me? Whose thoughts and feelings and emotions and ideas are you focusing on? You're only focusing on theirs, right? There's no room in that for you and how you feel and what you think and what's going through your mind, right? You're asking, do they, this other person, how do they feel about me, right? You are just the recipient, right? You're just the object, you're just the target of their love, their affection, whatever it may be. You're not really placing an emphasis on your own thoughts, your own desires, your own needs, and what you want as it comes to that relationship. Does that make sense? Think about that. Think about that one right there, right? That's kind of you're putting the other person first in a way, right? If you're asking what do you think he thinks about me, or what do you think she thinks about me, or what did she mean by this, what did he mean by this, you're focusing just on their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, and you're kind of putting yourself second. You're like, doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what I feel, it's what I'm trying to assess their intentions and what they want and what they need, what they're willing to give me, and you're just kind of leaving yourself second in that situation. Putting someone else before yourself, right? Putting yourself second, focusing all of your attention on that person. What does that sound like to you? Sounds like someone who's a people pleaser, right? Sounds like someone who isn't really asserting themselves and what they want and what fulfillment means to them from that relationship, right? A people pleaser, someone who is constantly trying to please and appease someone else, often at the expense of what they feel and what they want. There you go. So, how can we upgrade that question? How can we improve that question to maybe better assess and really drill in on what it is that we want? Here's how we do it. So we can change that question by, so kind of rewind a little bit. Let's say you came to me and your question was, do they like me? Do they love me? Do they care about me, right? Let's suppose, hypothetically speaking, just for the sake of argument, let's suppose that they do, right? Let's say I give you the benefit of the doubt and I say, you know what? Yes, they do like you. They do care about you. They do love you. They do want to be in a relationship with you. But then I push back and I say, how do they express liking you? How do they express caring for you, right? How do they perform? How do they behave? How do they show that they want to be in a relationship with you, right? And it's a very subtle switch, right? Do they like me? How do they express that they like me, right? Very subtle shift, but what does it force us to do, right? Now we're not dealing with these philosophical questions of do they like me? Do they care about me? We're not dealing with ideas and hypotheses and imaginations and what if and do they not. When we say, okay, how do they express liking me? How do they express loving me or caring about me? What does that do? It forces us to base our answer in facts, right? It forces us to base our answer in things that are actually happening, right? Why is that important? Because it forces us to accept reality instead of denying reality and seeing the situation how we want to see it, right? With that example I gave you where I described, the worst possible partner in the world, if you ask me, well, do you think they still care about me? And I would ask you, okay, how do they show that they care about you, right? And we go back and we reverse engineer and we say, okay, you told me, based on what you told me, you said that they were physically abusive, you said they took your money, you said they embarrassed you, they humiliate you. You gave me concrete facts, right? You gave me things based in reality that actually happened, right? So going off of what you told me, how do they express that they care about me? Well, they express it by doing all these negative things. Well, now that gives us some traction, right? You asked me, do they care about you? I asked you, how do they show you that they care about you? You, based on what you told me, you couldn't give me any positive examples of them caring about you, right? Based on the reality, based on facts, based on the evidence of what you told me, you gave me evidence that suggests they don't care about you, right? So now, rather than us dealing with philosophical ideas and you projecting what you want out of the situation, now I'm forcing you to look at reality, right? I'm forcing you to look at What is this person doing, right? Do these actions reflect those of someone who cares about me? Do these actions reflect those of someone who wants to be in a relationship with me, of someone who loves me, of someone who likes me, right? It doesn't. You see how that subtle shift in our question there, instead of asking about them, or instead of asking if they like you, care about you, love you, etc., we're asking about their actions. Very important there. So that's a level 2 question. That's a level 2 question. Now we just upgraded the question. We just improved it by one level. Even thinking of our conversations, like when you ask me, like, you know, you'll ask me, do I think, said girl, I won't say her name, but do you think this girl, clearly, like, you'll say to me, like, clearly something's there. Like, do you think she's feeling me, or do you think she's liking me? And it's like, if you asked yourself, if you, let's say you took yourself, right, and you kind of were the observer and you removed yourself from the situation, you said, okay, based on this person's behavior, based on their actions, does it reflect someone who cares about me? Does it reflect someone who, feels that there's some chemistry? Does it reflect someone who's interested in me, who wants to be with me? You would easily be like, no, not really, right? Because if it forces you to look at, okay, what are they doing? Forget, what I want them to do. Forget what I want from this situation. What are they showing me? What have they shown me up until this point? And how does that answer my question, right? I don't have to ask myself, I don't have to confuse myself with what are they thinking or what's on their mind or what are their intentions. If you just look at the reality of the situation, what have they been doing? Okay, 6 out of 7 days out of the week, they do this, they treat me like crap. Or for the past several weeks, this person blows me off, ignores my texts, doesn't respond to my calls. That gives you the answer that you're looking for. You didn't have to ask me what I think about the situation. You already had the answers. You had all the answers that you needed. You just had to kind of look at reality and not kind of project what it is that you want from the situation. And another thing that I'll add to that, guys, is with the, when you're asking, okay, how do they express their love for me, or how do they express caring for me? What you have to realize is that we all, we look at things like love or caring for someone, we look at it as these well-defined concepts that I think they're kind of one of these things where everyone thinks they know what love is, but at the same time, no one knows what, not no one knows what love is, but no one agrees. There's no agreement there's no consensus among everyone what love is, right? For some people, what's love for you may be, giving affection, giving the person your time, your attention, showing them that you care about them. That is your interpretation of love, right? That is your definition of love. For some people, at an unconscious level, right, loving someone means yelling at them. Loving someone means, being abusive to them, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally. Loving someone means humiliating them, embarrassing them, right? For some people, their conceptualization is those things, right? There are people who do horrible things who have taken other people's lives in the name of love, right? That is, for them, in their mind, that is them showing their love, right? I think most of us would agree that's not the flavor of love that we want. If that's your flavor of love, I will gladly, push the plate back on the table and you can take it back to the kitchen staff. I don't want that flavor of love, right? You have to decide what flavor of love or care or someone wanting to be with you. You have to decide what flavor of those things you want, and understand that it may not fit hand in glove with someone else's rendition or someone else's flavor of those things. Now, number 3, we talked about number 2, how to improve your question. asking how do they express their love, right? How do they express caring for you, right? Number three, and this is kind of a tricky one, this is a challenging one, is I want you to ask yourself, how does their manifestation of love or of caring for you or of wanting to be with you, how does it make you feel, right? How does it make you feel? Forget about do they love you, do they care about you? Ask yourself, okay, how does what they are doing make me feel? Just that was a question that we learned what when we were 5-6 years old. How did that make you feel when Jimmy stole your cookie and you didn't get to eat a cookie because your friend Jimmy took it? How did it make you feel, right? Even little children can articulate and can express how something makes you feel. I think a lot of us as adults, we've become far removed from that, right? Ask yourself, okay, how does what they are doing make me feel? And listen to yourself, right? Be patient with yourself. Here's what I'm going to say. If you struggle with putting yourself first, if you struggle with making sure your needs and your desires are met when it comes to relationships, that is going to be a very challenging thing for you to do, right? It sounds so simple, like receiving something or someone behaving towards you and then asking how you feel. When you struggle being a people pleaser, when you struggle asserting yourself, when you struggle to put yourself first and to give yourself a sense of agency in the relationship, it's going to be hard for you to say, this makes me feel this way. I know it sounds like it's an easy thing to do, but even if you can do it, sometimes we kind of brush it off to the side, right? Again, if you are one of those people who thinks that being in a relationship or dating someone is about waking up each and every day and making sure that person is happy, making sure that person feels safe, making sure that person feels secure, which a lot of us are those kinds of people, or a lot of us used to be those kinds of people, it's going to be hard for you to do. I just went like this. It's going to be hard for you to do that and for you to sit back and say, okay, how does what they are doing make me feel? And for you to honor that answer, right? Ask yourself, don't ask me, do I think they like you? Don't ask me, do I think they care about you? Do I think that they're interested in you? Ask yourself, okay, regardless of them, right? Completely remove them out of the picture. How do I feel when they are doing those things, right? How do I feel? Do I feel anxious? Do I feel unsafe? Do I feel confused? Do I feel uncertain, right? If you are feeling those things, don't just kind of brush it off to the side because you want, this person to be with you or want them to love you, like you, care about you. Like I said, honor those feelings and be patient with yourself and think, okay, if I'm feeling this way, maybe there's something to it, right? Maybe there's some investigating I should do here if I'm being led to feel a certain way, right? Being led to feel a certain negative emotion. Other people who have been in healthy relationships, other people who know what it feels like to be in a healthy relationship, other people who do not struggle with asserting themselves, when they feel anxious or they feel nervous or they feel uncertain or they feel unaware where the person stands, they have no issue asserting themselves and saying, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Not only asserting themselves to themselves, but asserting it to the other person. Hey, this is how I'm feeling. I'm noticing your actions. I'm noticing your behavior. Hey, this is how it's making me feel, right? And they bring those things out there. They discuss them. They communicate about them. Sometimes when you aren't used to putting yourself first, that's not the course of action that you take, right? So I encourage you, if those are the things you're feeling, don't just brush them to the side. Don't just sort of cover them with a Band-Aid and not look at them and just ignore them and lock them up in a cupboard. address them, assert yourself to yourself when it comes to them, and assert yourself to your partner, right? Bring those things up, communicate about them. And that's super healthy when it comes to making sure that you are having a healthy relationship, having a healthy dating relationship, and just making sure that you are putting yourself first, like I said, and not ignoring your needs and the things that you want for your own happiness, your own satisfaction, and your own fulfillment. So, in closing, those are some of my tips, some of my advice on ways that you can ask yourself better questions, ways that you can ask others better questions to better address and get at some of the concerns that you have. Don't just limit yourself to a yes or no, a binary question of do they want to be with me? Do they love me? Do they care about me? Take that extra step. Ask yourself how they're expressing. Maybe they are, maybe they don't feel this way, but ask yourself, okay, putting that to the side, tabling that, how do they express those things and how does it make me feel? And I guarantee you that will help you gain more traction, more fulfillment, more happiness in your relationships and in your dating life. And hope that you guys got some good nuggets from this video. Hope that you guys and you ladies and you gals, guys and gals, got some good nuggets from this video. This was kind of a different topic. We went kind of a different realm, a different avenue with this video. I know most of my videos thus far have been just on maybe practical tips and things like that guys can use in their own dating life, but I feel like this topic is super important for men and women out there. Just being able to have healthy relationships and making sure that people are asserting themselves in those kinds of relationships. If topics like this are interesting to you, I'm going to be touching on some more of these kinds of topics with the channel, but in my humble opinion, in my honest opinion, if topics like these are interesting to you, there's another channel that I would encourage you all to check out. It's a gentleman by the name of Richard Grannon. Richard spelled like how it usually is, and then Grannon, Grannon. He deals with a lot of these kinds of topics as far as just assertiveness, healthy relationships. He even does some work in the counseling realm as well. And I've gotten a lot of perspective, a lot of guidance, a lot of traction in my own dating life from seeing some of his videos. So definitely encourage you to check out his page. Even as you see some of his videos, you'll probably see that there's a lot of overlap in some of the topics and some of the things that I'm going to start to cover, because I think it's helpful and practical things that we all can use. So that being said, thank you for checking out the channel, guys and gals. Hope that you enjoyed this video. Hope that you got some good value from it. If you did, click that like button, leave a comment down below, share your thoughts. And as always, in typical Lost and Found dating channel fashion, we sign out, double salute, wipe us down, and I will catch you all next time. Peace.